Well, hello, Benji.
Ooh.
I woke it so low in the morning.
So low in the morning. Well, good morning to all y'all, and welcome to Tuesday, Thursday, April, August. I am Bennifer Lewis, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Daniel Nolen.
Hey, y'all. We're so glad you're here with us on this lovely Tuesday morning. It's a new week. We're here. We're queer. We're rested. We're refreshed. Live from New York. It's Tuesday morning.
Tuesday, Thursday, April, August.
Time heals everything. It's a song. And time heals everything.
You know that my secret to not hating the way I look in this video, I should show you this sometime, is I have to make my my browser window is literally 1/7 of the width of my monitor, of my screen.
Okay.
And it's shoved all the way to the right so that it forces me to look that way, so I like my face.
Your browser window, it's tucked.
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I mean, if you saw the system of this platform I've constructed with all these books, so it's at the proper level to where the light hits me without reflecting on my glasses. It's and then all my beverages over here in the corner.
I've just given up on the light reflection in my glasses. Now, like all my like Zoom career, personal, professional, what have you, is all just if there's light on my glasses, it means at least I'm lit.
That's right, honey. Lit, indeed. Well, how are you? We were just talking before we went live about all the movies we've been watching.
Oh my God.
We should do a special little film segment.
Men on Film.
Film.
Living Color in honor of Jennifer Lewis.
Yes.
Well, thanks to your recommendation the other day, I watched The Florida Project by Sean Baker, who I was a huge fan of Tangerine. I mean, I watched Tangerine. Thank you, Kenneth, for noticing. Yes, I logged out of the BroadwayWorld social account on StreamYard.
That's where we belong.
I enjoyed having the power, but I really didn't like being on that side of the screen. Anyway, I was a huge fan of Tangerine. I must have watched it like 5 times. And I don't, typical me, I like deep dove so deep so quickly that like, and it was like over the holidays.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of like forgot, because obviously the filmmaker, Sean Baker, had not made a new movie like in the 2-week period from when I first watched it, you know? So when you said that the Florida Project and it was by the guy that did Tangerine, I immediately was like, I'm in. And I watched it that night, and just like Tangerine, from the opening frame, you're just like into this world, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because like, I guess I hadn't thought about it, but on some kind of like subconscious level, I had just assumed Sean Baker was like a trans prostitute in downtown LA, you know? And it's like, here he goes as deeply and authentically and vividly and, you know, richly into this completely different world from that, having nothing to do with that. Like at the beginning, I was like, oh, I wonder if the woman who does the laundry at the motel is trans.
Right. Thinking about his.
No, that's not where we are. It reminds me of the movies Brooklyn. I might have told you this before, but the movies Brooklyn and Carol came out like around the same time. And I hadn't watched either one. And I was on the plane, I think to England. It was like a long flight, and not with you. Like this was like before we went together. But what do you call it? Oh, so I watched Brooklyn and I loved it. But for the whole movie, I just kept waiting for her to come out because I thought it was the lesbian movie. I got it mixed up with Carol. And I was like, it was like an hour and a half in. She was like married to the guy and they were together. And I was like, this is going to be brutal.
That's so funny. It happens to me all the time.
Anyway, the Florida Project. It's so crazy. I loved it so much. I literally watched it again the next day. And I tried to be like a big macher, as we say in Yiddish, like with my family, telling them all they have to watch it. You know, and of course my parents were like, oh, let us write that down. You know, my mom, you know, I have my list of movies I want to watch. It's just an email draft. My mom's, of course, is a spreadsheet with where it's available and who recommended it to her. but of course, my sister, Lucy Rimalower, sister of the pod, was like, "Oh yeah, we watched that. It was so good." I was like, oh.
I remember going to see that. I went to see it in the theaters. It was kind of on a date, I think. And it was in that theater on 2nd Avenue in the East Village. And this guy I went with, we watched the movie, and at the end it's like so emotional and moving. And so after the film let out, we were walking down 2nd Avenue to the subway, and we were both just like still like crying and like trying to talk to each other like through our yeah. So that was like, I feel like I'm bonded to that guy for life because we had now such a visceral experience watching that. Speaking of visceral experiences,
speaking of Florida.
Oh, hello, Mezzy Baxter. What a great name.
Mezzy, have you been to, oh shit, I can't remember the name of the town. Kissimmee, is that a thing?
I don't remember, but I mean, it's
walking distance to Disney World.
But they couldn't think of a title for that movie, and it was just called The Florida Project.
Oh.
So, I guess maybe it's kind of like the Mindy Project. They couldn't think of a name, so they just called it that.
Yeah.
But speaking of visceral experiences, last night I watched Uncut Gems.
Oh, with Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I recommend it because it's just a very stressful experience watching it. Like afterwards, I had to like watch 2 episodes of The Office and take like 1,000 Benadryl and just like lay my head down and like calm down because it's so like high energy and stressful.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler's just like constantly running around the city on his cell phone, like owing people money, and maybe you shouldn't watch it, but
it sounds like my life.
It's very like high energy, so it's like you can't stop watching, and it's like completely sucks you in, but afterwards you're like exhausted. But Adam Sandler is such a great gives such a great performance, and it's a very, very visceral experience.
The other thing that I watched was I got HBO Max.
Yeah.
And I got it because I was such a big fan of Search Party when it was like on TBS. So the new season 3 is on HBO Max. And we talked about this on the pod. Anyway, the new season is the best season yet. And the other thing I watched there, which maybe we talked about on the pod, was Expecting Amy. Amy Schumer's 3-episode docuseries about her pregnancy and her husband being diagnosed with being on the spectrum. And it was fantastic. Fantastic.
I'll have to watch that. I'm such a fan of her podcast with a friend of the pod, The Stream, Bridget Everett. And so much of this stuff I feel like they talk about on the podcast, and it's so interesting, like Amy's journey with pregnancy, and talk about her husband who has Asperger's. And so I'll love that. And especially it's 3 episodes. Sign me up.
Yeah.
There's nothing I hate more than like wanting to watch something, but it's like 12 episodes, and I'm like, ugh, like this is.
Yeah, but it's nice. Like I have all these like little insurance policies of like series that I'm like, that's going to be my whole weekend one day. I like to know that.
I always want to be left. You and I are different in this regard, but I always want to be left wanting more. I never want to feel like I'm being forced to watch something out of guilt.
You are enforced. My favorite is don't answer that question yet. I want to finish my point. My favorite is when series is like Newsroom and Desperate Housewives. Both are examples of shows I was really into, but got annoyed at the very, very bitter end. And actually, Desperate Housewives, I quit after like the 3rd episode of the last season. And Newsroom, I quit halfway through the series finale. And I love knowing that like there was just so much I just couldn't possibly finish it all.
See, that would drive me crazy. I would always, in the back of my mind, I would always have this receipt of like, oh, I got to go back and finish that someday.
Well, but what happened is I got to a point where I was like, I know these people better than these writers do. I don't need them to. I don't trust them with my heart. I would rather part ways now incomplete than have them fuck me up with their shitty ending.
You want it to be on your terms.
Exactly.
I respect that.
If I could do that in my real life, I'd be much happier. Oh, Wilson Chin says we have to watch Katie Keene. Thank you. Wilson, don't comment on TV Rex. Right now, Wilson, you should be preparing your Dolly concert kills. You can owe us like from like 3 episodes ago.
Don't criticize the listeners.
Wilson's special. I can criticize Wilson. Mezzy has a question.
You know who's on Katie Keene is our friend, past guest Nathan Lee Graham.
Oh, yes. Yes. We must watch that. Okay. Mezzy says, what's your favorite Broadway show you have worked? Well, the only Broadway show I worked on was a class act. So a class act.
Mine, no, I'm just kidding. Do you love Ozark? I haven't watched it.
Me either, but I know I need to.
Although Ozark, I heard this last season was not good, so that's another reason I'm like, I don't want to start the journey if I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Tarryn
and Bernadette are on the Tarryn and Bernadette. Tarryn and Wilson are both on the Bernadette news.
You ended with your happy ending. Good way. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Bernadette was in it.
Neither did I.
Oh, here, we're being informed.
So many comments. What a good day.
Dearly departed.
She did a show? Oh, good for you, Messy. Okay. So
anyway, should we what segment should we do first? Do you want to do your who do you think or all beef?
Surprise me with the graphic and I'll jump to.
I feel like we're in a good energy place, so let's do who do you think first.
That'd be good.
Who do you think you are?
Well, our Who Do You Think You Are this week. By the way, you guys, I don't know if we ever said this, but I have my Who Do You Think You Are Tuesdays and Daniel has his on Thursdays.
Yeah.
So Tuesday is mine. And so mine is from the subject of our Corn Stream Broken Records podcast this week, which is the amazing 1999 Lifetime TV vehicle for Jennifer Lewis, Jackie's Back, cult classic, worthy of becoming a straight up classic. Yeah. And I'm obsessed with the song she sings that's supposed to be, I guess, because the character Jackie Washington is this has-been boozing, sort of D-list celebrity. But so this song was supposed to have been like the peak of her career before her fall from grace. Mm-hmm. It's called Look at Me, and it's so over the top. And she sings it in a scene in the movie, and then they also, in a flashback scene in the movie from before her fall, and then they also, it's over the closing credits. And I couldn't sing it. When I tried to tell you what I love so much about The Last Note, and we talked about it on the pod, I couldn't describe it because I'm tone deaf. So let's roll the clip.
Okay, roll the tapes.
They say to love somebody else, you've got to learn to love yourself. And so I proudly show this face like it's an Oscar on the shelf. To hell with all false modesty. If it's perfection you must see, look at me. I only say it 'cause it's you that I adore. My love for you has only made me love me more. Humility, a fantasy. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
Yeah. I love just going through the list of vowels on that very last note. Wow, what a voice.
What a voice. I mean, it's that thing we love when they sing almost like a man. It's just like so like chest voicey, strong, like just like a bellowing tenor, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, it also, that eval is kind of almost like Betty Buckley-ish, just that very like, you know, yeah. And I live for the side at the end. I love how it's like when they show her from behind looking at the audience and you just see her in silhouette, it's very like Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then the song itself and really Jennifer's voice in a way is very Shirley Bassey. I mean, the song is so Shirley Bassey.
So Shirley Bassey. And it reminds me, I was thinking Meryl's song in Death Becomes Her. I see me. I see me.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Jennifer Lewis, so as you mentioned, our corn stream is Jackie's Back. So viewers, if you have not listened, make sure you go check that out.
Scott Yannick, please share 2 crazy celebrity encounters.
Have you ever met Jennifer?
No, I don't, unless I was like so fucked up like at Scott Whitman's and I like don't remember, but I think I would have remembered. You don't forget Jennifer Lewis.
No.
I mean, I feel like I'm constantly name dropping and like trying to like claw my way to relevance with celebrity encounter stories. Do you have any?
Well, I was just thinking, I haven't met Jennifer Lewis, but I have met Shangela, and I met her. This sounds a lot more scandalous than it is. I met her in the bathroom at the Pines Pavilion last summer, because as we know, she was there hosting the invasion on the 4th of July.
Which we have to say, we saw her one-woman show at the Pines Pavilion the next night.
Fabulous.
I mean, it was like better than like peak Kathy Griffin, but that kind of a comedy show, absolutely brilliant.
Wonderful storytelling, wonderful stage presence. But this was the next day when we were at the pavilion where we accidentally got tickets to see Aquaria. And Shangela was there running her spotlight out of drag, which was just I have a picture, it's so fabulous. But I ran downstairs to go to the bathroom, and as I'm going downstairs, I see Shangela coming down the stairs behind me, and I go in the bathroom, and that bathroom, it's like just stalls. It's like the women's side are both open. It's all stalls, and they're all taken, who knows what people are doing in there. So, there was one open at the very end, and Shangela and I are both going for it, and I'm like a little ahead of her, and I was like, "Oh, why don't you take it? It's all yours." And she goes, "Oh, thank you." She runs in, and I wait, and so that was my good deed, and I always will have that, I gave Shangela the bathroom stall.
Love.
So that's one of my crazy celebrity encounters. I don't know if I've really had that many crazy ones.
Well, one of my favorite, literally an encounter, was, and you know the story very well, but I was leaving Ripley Greer rehearsal studios in Midtown, and just as I got to the elevator, it was completely full, and front and center in it was Elaine Stritch. So as the doors were closing, I was like, "No fair. You guys get to ride with Elaine Stritch?" And she goes, "Why do you have to?"
So good. I feel like somebody tweeted one time, I don't remember who this was. They said, how do they phrase it? They were basically saying, if you've met Elaine Stritch, you have an Elaine Stritch story.
100%. Well, while we're talking about angry, bitter people, why don't I do my
story? Great segue.
I hardly know the woman.
Well, I'm very happy that today, look, Scott Yannick was pleased with our crazy celebrity encounters. So my I'll Be Patty today is Patty related, and it is with the original Broadway cast album of The Robber Bridegroom. Now, it's interesting that the album is called the original Broadway cast album, because the original Broadway production opened in 1975, starring Kevin Kline and Patti LuPone.
Right.
And Patti LuPone was nominated for her first Tony Award. Now, a year and change later, it opened again. The original production with Patti and Kevin had been a production of The Acting Company, which was a touring classical repertory company. It was their only, it was the only musical they did on Broadway. Or no, maybe they did The Beggar's Opera on Broadway too. They did a couple of musicals, but most of their stuff was classical straight plays, Chekhov and Ibsen and other stuff, or classical and classic. And they did these very short runs because they were on a repertory schedule going all over the country. And many of those short runs, some deal they had with the union or whatever, they were able to do these little short runs on Broadway. That's why Patty's IMDb page from like the first 5 years of her career, you're like, she did the Three Sisters on Broadway. It's like play after play after play after play. And one of them actually would be a not that fun live corn stream is the play The Time of Your Life that was filmed for television. And Patty's young and beautiful. Anyway, but so The Robber Bridegroom is a wonderful musical. People love it. It's been very popular in regional theaters and schools and everything now for, almost 50 years. And in fact, there was a revival a couple years ago with Stephen Pasquale, but off Broadway. But The Robber Bridegroom played on Broadway. It's a 3-week run with Patty and Kevin, and then the same producers brought it to Broadway the following year. And Patty was doing The Baker's Wife, and Kevin wasn't doing On the 20th Century yet. Oh, I think he was doing. I don't know what he was doing, but he didn't do it. But the new cast was Barry Bostwick and a person named Rhonda, I believe it's pronounced Coulee. Maybe it's Rhonda Cowlett. I don't know.
Who?
I don't know because bitch hasn't done anything else. But I don't know whether she was good or not. I've never listened to the original Broadway cast album for obvious reasons. But it really chaps my hide that it is labeled the original Broadway. Now, I'm not saying they should call it like Broadway Revival cast album, but well, I don't know, maybe they should, or how about like
a cast album?
I've seen it referred to as original 1976 Broadway cast album. I don't get as mad at that. I think they could just call it Broadway cast album, since even now, almost 50 years later, it's the only Broadway cast album there is, But I'm really bugged by that. And I mean, of course, I'm really upset that there wasn't an album with Patty and Kevin, but I understand that the record industry, not to mention the fact that the show ran for 3 weeks, was not, conducive to that. But, so I have to content myself with the only recordings Patty's made of her great song, Sleepy Man, from that show are from Patti LuPone Live, which is 1973, almost 20 years after the fact. I mean, it's a wonderful recording, and she sings it with her backup guys, the Mermen. But, it's years and years later. It's a different voice. And she also sings it on Don't Monkey with Broadway, where it's even more years later. And it was on, I think, her... I think it made the broadcast of her 96 concert, An Evening with Patti LuPone, which is a touring version of Patti LuPone on Broadway. But so I have to contend with bootlegs to hear the young Patti sing. Thank you, Tarryn. And, and the bootlegs are good, but they're bootlegs. So it just feels like it's bad enough I have to live my life without a true original Broadway cast album. Do they really have to like piss in my wound with calling that one the original?
Yeah, well, and not to add insult to injury, but it was my favorite version of Sleepy Man, and you're not going to like it.
I do not want you to say it here in front of the fans.
Miss Liz Calloway.
But how would you even know? All you've heard is Patty in her 40s and 50s singing it.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, exactly. So this, I guess that proves your point. But
in fairness, and by the way, I love Liz Calloway. Liz Calloway has got to be a whole separate I'll Be Patty. But we'll just save it. That's got to be an I'll Be Patty.
Save it. All right. Okay, now let's go to our final segment. I hope our listeners, viewers have been thinking, because it's time for DCK.
What if like one time you played that music and when the screen was revealed again, I was in the full headdress?
Suddenly just like a little...
I was just not here anymore, and Bette Midler was sitting here.
She's like, oh, hi, Daniel. Oh, what was that thing she did? Beanie? Hi, it's Bette.
She's like, Bernadette's going to sing. Bye.
Thank you, Celia. Okay, send in your DCKs, y'all.
There we go.
There we go. Susan Hayward, Eve Arden.
That's for you, girl.
Lillie. I mean, I definitely need Eve as Dolly. She'd be
I
fabulous.
think she did it.
Probably, yeah. And then Beatrice Lillie in concert kills Susan Hayward.
Whoa. Wait, did Susan Hayward do her own singing in Valley of the Dolls?
That I do not know.
Oh, speaking of us not knowing things, I have to say I got something wrong on the pod this week. I said that Patty Austin's hit was "On My Own" with Michael McDonald. That is Patti LaBelle's hit. Patty Austin's hit, almost as big as that, was "Baby, Come to Me, Let Me Wrap My Arms Around You."
We need a whole separate corrections and retractions.
We seriously do. Okay, I want to do Tarryn's.
Okay.
Shoshana Bean, Idina Menzel, Idina Espinosa. Love, 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 love. Well, this is a very hard one because, well, okay, I want to see Shoshana in concert, so that's easy. And then, I mean, I normally would have said 100% Idina as Dolly. I think she'd be good, just like I think she'll be good as Fanny Bryce. And Idina Espinosa, to me, was a little bit like the source of all the problems in modern musical theater. Even though I actually enjoy Idina Espinosa, I feel like all the girls in her shadow have like really ruined everything.
Yeah.
But I did see the national tour of falsettos in LA with Max von Essen and fabulous people that now I can't remember who else was in it.
Yeah.
Nick Blameyer and God, who was with her? Oh, Nick Adams. Jesus Christ. But Eden was Trina. And I was like, well, at least she'll be able to belt high, but I'm not so sure about this. She was wonderful, way better than people that did it on Broadway in the revival. So I kind of think maybe Eden is Dolly.
I'm not mad at that. Although I have to say, I watched, like I said, Uncut Gems, and Idina has like an actual pretty big role in that.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
Oh, okay. I'm going to watch it and we'll have a part 2 of that conversation.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you think. Maureen McCormack. I mean, I know who Maureen McCormack is. I don't know the other people. Do you?
Susan Day was on LA Law, and I think she was on The Partridge Family.
Okay.
She's blonde, and she's married to that like short, fat, funny Jewish guy. Maybe he's not Jewish, but they do like a 54 Below show together, and they're like a sort of like, you know, that kind of a dynamic couple.
Cool.
Like Shirley Jones and what's his name? And Kristy McNichol, I got nothing. I mean, I think from the 70s, like if I had to.
Right. I mean, Kristy McNichol, I could look it up, but we don't have time.
Oh, there's some good ones now.
This one.
That's for me? No, that's for you.
Okay. Oh my God. I mean, Boots the House Down, Ellen Greene as Dolly. We just saw Tammy Blanchard as Audrey, and I loved her so much. And I don't really, I mean, I don't need to see Kerry Butler, but she does have a better voice. I mean, Tammy's voice is so like raw and original. She's not really a singer.
It's not really original. It's just like raw, and she's a good actor.
Yeah, but I would rather see her in concert just because of the choices she would make.
True. I mean, Kerry Butler's choices, we all know exactly what they'd be.
Exactly. Okay, do you want this one? This is a good one.
Okay. Lauren Bacall, Katharine, Hepburn, Betty Davis. Well,
this is hard.
Very hard. I mean,
for me, this was really about who you want to see in the concert, because you know they would tell some stories.
I mean, I definitely have more respect for Katharine Hepburn and Betty Davis than Lauren Bacall, but I have more confidence in Lauren Bacall's ability to like carry a musical comedy.
Because she did, kind of.
A lot. No, a lot. I mean, she was a great Broadway musical star, even though she couldn't sing, you know. Maybe Applause would be a good corn stream.
Is that available to watch?
Like on YouTube, but I mean, it was done for TV, so it's like a real one.
I would love.
Yeah. So I guess I'd see Lauren as Dolly and Betty Davis an Evening with, and I'm so sorry, I'm the wrong kind of homosexual, but that's my feeling.
Wow.
I mean, the right answer, I guess, would have been Hepburn as Dolly, kill Bacall.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to be right. I want to be me.
You got to be you.
Good one. Good one.
Hey. Ooh, it's so hard.
Scott Yannick doesn't seem to understand the game. Scott, what the game is that Dolly Concert Kill is a game that we've been playing now for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And we get 3 performers and we have to choose which to see as Dolly Levi, which to see in a peak career concert, and which to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess I want Faye Dunaway as Dolly just for the backstage rehearsal stories, throwing salads at little gay guys. And then Meryl, obviously in concert. I think she'd be fabulous and kill Jesse.
Fair.
All right, here you go.
Lovely.
Boy, it's so diverse.
I'm into it. I would take. Oh, this is a little tricky, actually. Yeah, I guess this is not that tricky. I would take Deb, Dolly, Ebersol Concert, and I'm so sorry, Joseph Papa, but Killy O'Hara.
And this one, I would love Marilyn as Dolly. I do love Audrey.
Now I really want that.
I know, she'd be fabulous. Audrey in concert, kill Grace. All right, the last one, and then we have to go.
Oh God, Charlie's Angels. Kenneth, you were really hitting me in my sweet spot till now. I guess Farrah in concert for the stories, Jacqueline Smith as Dolly for the glamour, Kate Jackson for interrupting the sex scenes between Harry Hamlin and what's his name that played her husband in Making Love.
Cool. All right. Well, that's our show. Like that. Do you have any last words before I play us out with Patricia?
Not a one.
All right. We love y'all, and we'll see you Thursday.
Tuesday, Thursday, April, August.
Time heals everything. It's a song. Time heals everything.